Hey, this is Doug. My fine friend Lyndon Jeremiah has sent me his wonderful book of original poetry called The Man I'm Going to Be, Love Letters to Wales. And I'd like to read Four Small Boys from Neath. I'll probably make some mistakes in pronunciation of Welsh places. I'm sure that I will, but hopefully, you can bear with me on that. And this is a rather long poem. It's a story. So if you get tired of my voice, I understand that, but bear with it, because you won't get tired of the words. You won't get tired of the wonderful story and poetry. And so here we go. The galleon crashed upon the beach on a star-bejeweled night. The pirates land and mumbles to steal everything in sight. But in their way in Swansea Bay were four small boys from Neath to tackle the invaders with a cutlass in their teeth. Waking up that morning to the smell of frying spam, warm and quitchy blankets and the distant voice of Ma'am, I explore the world above me of rivers, lands, and plains, my familiar map of childhood made of cracks and ceiling stains. Engulfed in the glow of all I know, the guardian of my treasure, a yardstick guide to happiness I'd use all my life to measure. It's Saturday, the greatest day, little Christmas every week. Nothing was impossible, adventures off to seek. Our mission planned, the crew was manned, we'd meet at the bus stop. Number 7, off to Neath, with sweets bought from the shop. 4 superheroes, each with superpowers. Every day in raucous play, we'd hone our skills for hours. The fearless 4, small boys no more, to fulfill our destiny. Bryn the Frock, Will in a Minute, Tommy Bach, and me. It came as a shock to Bryn the Frock to earn the cruelest of all nicknames. He wore his ma'am's pants by mistake. That day we had games. Amongst the jeers and laughter, he unleashed his fearsome power, and he left the whole team black and blue and bleeding in the shower. Bren went on to box the Wales, a legend some still say, but he got his violence from his dad, who beat him every day. Will's gift, it was quite simple, a freak of nature we all reckoned. He could take dump to order in less than 60 seconds. Any time or any place, with a twinkle in his eye, Will would drop his trousers and produce that steaming prize. The ultimate weapon to seek revenge if a rival gang got lippy. We would use our secret weapon, our pungent Mr. Whippy. Tommy Bach was my best friend, named Tommy like his dad. He was thought by all the village most likely to turn out bad. We were told Big Tommy worked away, but we knew he was in jail. In spite of all the gossip, Tommy Bach would never fail. Tommy Bach was an escapeologist from any situation, from change with locks and ropes with knots in Neath police station. Big Tommy, he had taught him well. He passed on every trick. Big Tommy had famously visited his ma'am while still in Swansea Nick. My gift, if you can call it that, was not a gift at all. I simply made up stories for the boys to just enthrall. On camping trips around the fire, in our den or up a tree, I regaled the wondrous stories that had never happened to me. I'd get us out of lots of scrapes. My tales, they had their uses, but looking back with hindsight, they were just lies and excuses. But they were bloody good ones, and sometimes they caused a drama. I claimed I bred a giraffe and sheep that turned out to be a llama. As our spaceship landed on planet Neath, the heroes disembarked to find females of the species on the moon in Victorian Park. Others knew it as the bandstand. We were young for such romancing, where a more advanced alien race were involved in some breakdancing. Very soon we realized this wasn't a day for Cupid. With their tracksuits and their trainers, we thought they all looked stupid. We turned to leave, but couldn't believe, when we were halted in our tracks, a nearly full bottle of Panda Pop was squirted on our backs. As we turned to face our enemy, I think that we all knew our fate that day, it sadly lay in the hands of the K-Wern crew. There they stood. It did not look good. All 4 were 3 years older. Bren was the biggest of us all, came up to the smallest one's shoulder. A flurry of activity with several punches thrown. We never really stood a chance, and we were taken down. But Will, he managed to get away. He was agile as a cat. The K-1 crew remained unscathed, but the leader lost his hat. They lined us up in the bandstand, forced my hands behind my back, held Bren in a headlock, put Tommy in a sack. They decided who would get it first. It looked like it was Bren. My mind had flicked to overdrive, and I shouted, "Don't touch him! He's got euotwasosis. It's a terrible disease. At first you'll get a runny nose, and then you'll end up with fleas." My story caused confusion. To gain some extra time, I needed to think on my feet to prevent this heinous crime. I said, "That's what we all got. It makes your hair fall out." They looked at me suspiciously, and then we heard a shout. It was Will, stood on a park bench with a leader's cap. They all looked on in disbelief as Will, he took a crap. This stuff was of legend, now veiled in mystery. The day that Will shat in that hat went down in history. It was a chance we had needed, a game-changing distraction. The fearless four are back in the game, and we sprang into action. I don't know how he did it, but the sack lay on the ground. Tommy's captor had his hands tied up with his trousers down. The ugly one who had our Bren was shaking like a leaf. He must have then released his grip as he stood in disbelief. Then everything went quiet as Bren got to his feet. They saw the madness in his eyes, no time for retreat. We watched him as he did his work, left hook and uppercut. We winced as noses were broken and eyes were pummeled shut. We only had one thing to do. I said, "There you go, old chap," as I addressed their leader, and Will replaced his cap. As we walked back to the bus stop, we were small boys no more, just a gang of lifelong friends knocking on life's door. Some say that this is gospel. Some say it isn't true. But you've got my word on it. I wouldn't lie to you. And that's by my friend Lyndon. And I know I missed a couple of things there, and I hope Lyndon doesn't mind. And I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll be reading some more down the road from this wonderful book of poetry. And I hope you all have a good day.